It's time for transparency in government, and we're here with our town manager, Kevin Smith. And Kevin's going to update us on what's been going on since our last show, which was in September. We kind of missed October.
We did, a little bit.
Yeah, we did. So we've got a few things to catch up on here, and a couple of them are things that have been brought up by members of the public, so we'll discuss those too. And why don't we just get started? Okay?
All right.
Something people love to talk about and hear about, Exit 4A. What the heck is going on?
So
I know you've
Exit-
had a meeting
yeah,
in Derry.
There's been a lot of meetings. Exit 4A is, right now it's in the phase of doing the environmental impact study.
Okay.
And that can take up to 18 months to do, but it's been going on for some time now.
Oh, good.
And it's expected to be completed next year in 2017. And
Early, late?
Probably
Yeah.
later 2017. And what'll happen after that is then they'll start going and getting the rights of ways needed for the Exit 4A route
Okay.
from the property owners there.
Yeah.
And then construction is slated to start in 2019. So,
I can't wait that long.
yeah, I know, Dottie. It's, you
What
know,
a
these
long
are
project.
this is a result of regulations, and I'm not saying that's a bad thing,
Yeah, no, but it takes
the
time.
reality is because of all the different kinds of regulations that are
Yeah.
in place now, you know, it's amazing if you look at some of the incredible structures like the Hoover Dam, the Cooley Dam that were built many, decades ago,
Yeah.
and how quickly they were put up and built.
Let's build one, and there it is.
Yeah, that's how it was done. Now, no one ever looked at environmental impacts
Didn't know
when
to
that
do that,
happened.
yeah.
They didn't, right. Over time, as regulations have been put in place, now you want to build an exit ramp and it takes 3 years to do it. So, long story short, there's a lot of study that has to go into it. But nonetheless, it's on track.
Yeah.
It's still, Department of Transportation is still the lead agency on it, project management agency. And we continue to pay the bills up until $5 million. That's
Yeah,
our total
right.
obligation.
Yeah.
And
Which
the
we
money's
incurred that debt way back in what?
the 90s, early 90s, late 80s.
Late 80s, I think. Yeah.
So this has been a long time coming, to
Yes,
say the
it
least.
has. Yeah.
But there looks to be an end in sight. Everything, as I said, is still on track.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll have an exit completed by the year 2020.
When something takes this long, I have to wonder, are they very, very slow? Are they understaffed? Or are they just so incredibly thorough? Maybe a little bit of both? Of each?
They're definitely very thorough. I don't think they're understaffed.
Just doesn't
It's
seem like
more of,
something should
Dottie,
take
it's
3
more of the
years.
process.
Yeah.
It's more of the process than anything else. Again, there's the environmental impact study process takes a long time because you've got to have various public meetings. You've got to make sure every I is dotted, every T is crossed. You've looked at everything. There's the watershed issues and the chloride salt issues. Perfect example. You may have been driving down the newly constructed areas of I-93. It's wide enough to be 4 lanes.
Right.
But in the areas that are completed, there's only 3.
Yep.
Well, the reason why there's only 3 lanes is because the federal government has said until the state can demonstrate that it's doing enough.
That 4th lane.
No,
Oh,
until
oh.
the state is doing, it can demonstrate that it's done enough to mitigate and limit the amount of salt
Oh,
that's going to go on the roadway
I got it.
into the watershed areas. They will not let us open up the 4th lane. So we've built the 4th lane, and this is, yeah, I mean, your face says it all on how I feel.
Yeah.
Because,
Well,
I
I'm
mean,
thinking, okay, we got to get Janos involved because Janos would build some sort of a little trench thing that would catch all the salt.
Well,
and
Janos
put
has
it
been
into
involved.
Put it into this catch basin that
Right.
won't hurt anybody.
now, Janos has been involved in this, but it's more than, I mean, it's a multi-town, it
No, I
goes
meant the
from
road. He could fix the road for the highway for them too. I have
Well,
great faith in him.
He can do a lot, but it's a state project.
I know.
It's federal regulations,
Yeah.
and it runs from Salem to Manchester. So there's a lot of entities involved here, but really the feds are having the final say on
Yeah.
this. So I know the state is working with the federal government to try to fix the issue so that we can open up 4 lanes. I mean, Dottie, I can't say it enough. How stupid to build 4 lanes
And then not use
and
the
not
fourth
use
one.
it.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
Well, I'm glad you told me that because I have wondered about it.
Yeah.
Because it makes no sense.
It doesn't.
And that, I mean, it still doesn't make sense, but that helps. Now I
So it's just,
understand.
it's frustrating
Yeah.
because you wish these processes didn't take this long.
Now, I am curious about one thing when it comes to the road construction, especially the highways,
Yeah.
okay? I watched exit 5 when
Yep.
they did all of that, because of course I have to go through there a lot. And then going up and down the highway between exit 3 and now exit, coming up closer. It seems to me, okay, that I go down the highway today
Yep.
and the pile of dirt is over here. And I go down the highway tomorrow and they've moved it over here. And it's like, you just keep moving it back and forth.
Yeah,
I know
mean,
I'm probably
look,
wrong,
I'm
but it
not a
looks like-
roadway engineer, so I'm not even going to begin to pass judgment on how
Maybe
they're
I'll
moving
have to
stuff
have
around.
a road, an
You
engineer
have
on
Janusz
my...
on. Janusz could probably speak to it
Yeah.
a lot. The final contracts for the final parts of the I-93 widening are going out this month, and that is for the exit 4 interchange.
Okay.
And also the area from exit, a little bit of an area between exit 3 and exit 4, and then exit 4 and exit 5.
Yeah.
So, those contracts, as I said, are going out for bid this month.
Yeah.
Construction is slated to begin on those next year. So, the whole project should be completed by 2020, the I-93 widening project. Whether or not there'll be 4 lanes is another story.
Yeah.
Wait to be seen on that.
Okay. Well, there's always something new when it comes to the
There
highway and
is.
exit 4A. Now, this is something that member of the public had mentioned that they were not happy about. Halloween. That why aren't we having Halloween on Halloween? Londonderry was like one of the last holdouts on that, and somewhat proud of it too, I might say. The other thing too, of course, being the kids go out so early. Was it 4 to 7?
4 to
I think
7
this year. Yeah. So it's kind of hard to scare a kid in the daylight. But that was
How many
part of-
kids are you scaring,
that-
Dottie, from
that
their
was-
home?
Well, I can. Yeah, yeah. Peanut dresses up, and the puppy dresses up like a pumpkin or a witch.
Peanut's
or,
with us today, too.
She is.
Many
Peanut's
of our
under the-
viewers probably don't know that, but
Peanut
Peanut
is beautifully behaved and under the table.
very behaved, I
Yeah,
will say.
Yeah, she's good on TV. So watch her start telling me she wants to leave now. But anyway, so Halloween on Halloween. Why aren't we doing that anymore? What was the
Well,
reason?
first, I can't say it's not going to be back on Halloween next year. Very well, maybe. Ultimately, the call comes from the chief of police, so that is Bill Hart.
Yeah.
He had
Not
been,
to name names or anything, but
No, but just so people understand the process, the chief of police determines when Halloween is
yeah.
going to be, and there's a number of factors that go into his determination. One of the things this year was that he had actually received a number of comments from parents before he set it, asking him to set it on a weekend because they felt it would be more convenient to do it on a Saturday night than opposed to a work night, and so he did.
yeah.
Now, there was obviously a lot of backlash from that of parents who said they couldn't understand why.
Kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Well, I will say the
should
amount
I
of
say
feedback,
darned?
the amount of feedback we got was, believe it or not, about 50-50. And if you
I do
read
believe
the
it.
Londonderry Moms page following Halloween, there was quite a few positive comments about people liking the fact that it was on Saturday, that they didn't have to rush to get home after
That-
work,
yeah,
and
yeah.
and get their kids dressed up, get them out the door. Next year, what will it be? I don't know. The chief
Yeah.
may decide to move it back to the regular Halloween date, or he may decide to do it on Saturday again.
Well, I
don't.
know my granddaughter's in North Andover, and they took her trick-or-treating, and it was 4 to 7 on Monday.
Yep.
And I asked my daughter how she did, and she said, well, there weren't that many people home.
Well, I was going to say
I said,
4 to
well, they
7.
were working.
4 to 7 on a work night.
Yeah.
That's be incredibly difficult
Yeah.
for a lot of people, and that's
well,
why.
they came home early. They're able to
Yeah.
do that. They came home early and got
But a
her
lot
all
of people
dressed up
can't
and
do
took
that.
her out. But that's
You
what
know,
I
a
said.
lot of people don't have
there
the,
were,
aren't in a
Yeah.
position to be able to
Yeah.
do that, and that's why if it's on a weeknight, typically it's 6 to 8,
exactly.
so people have time to
A
get
little
home
bit,
from
yeah,
work.
yeah.
Well, we'll see.
We had a lot of trick-or-treaters in our neighborhood this year. I don't know whether it's because we're in the north end and the houses are closer together, but they were coming in by the carloads. And we have one person in the neighborhood who has this wagon that he hooks to the back of his lawn tractor, and he fills it up with all of his grandchildren and I don't know who else, but it was pretty full too.
Yeah.
And they were coming through in huge groups.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I will tell you the one benefit for my children, at least, was that because we just moved to Londonderry back in August.
Yes.
And so they got to do Londonderry trick-or-treating Saturday, and then they got to go back to Litchfield and go trick-or-treating there on Monday with their friends.
Really? Okay.
Yes.
Is that legitimate? And you can do that?
Well,
from town to town?
there were complaints of double dipping
Were they?
going on. You know, oh well.
I think we can handle that when the kids go trick-or-treating more than one place. It's like some people get upset when the big kids come. You've
Yeah.
got somebody that shows up at the door that's 15 or 16 years old. And you know what? I'm so glad that at 15 or 16, those kids are still interested in going out and trick-or-treating. It's silly. They know it's silly. They have fun with it. So I'm glad they do it. Oh, okay. We have somebody new in your employ.
Well,
Or is it a promotion? We have Diane, what is it, Diane?
Demers.
Demers, yes.
Yeah.
As the new deputy tax collector?
Right. Diane is, she's not really new. She had been working temporarily for the town of Londonderry in the clerk's office probably 3 years ago, and then had been the finance director / tax collector for Allenstown for the last few years. And with some recent retirements and people leaving our clerk's office, we had some positions open. So Diane came back to us. She's got an extensive experience in having done tax collection
Okay, great.
and finance work.
So is this a new position, or you're just
Nope.
filling a previous position
It was,
that was
well,
vacated?
she filled a vacant
Okay.
clerk's position. The deputy appointment is something that was, again, it's not new. We had an appointed deputy tax collector that was Sherry Farrell, the town clerk.
That's what I thought.
Right.
Okay.
Sherry resigned that position to focus more on her town clerk duties.
Okay.
And given Diane's experience, years of experience in tax collection, it made sense to promote her into
Okay. So
that
Sherry's
deputy.
still doing, is it a 20-hour? Has that
which
changed?
which one? The
The
town clerk?
town clerk?
Well, it was never the town clerk is a part-time position.
Right.
When we changed it to part-time. Now, part-time in the state of New Hampshire can be anything up to, I think, 34.
37 hours or something?
Well, it's 34, 30
30-something, yeah.
to 36 hours. It's in that range. And so when you average out the amount of time that Sherry puts into the position, like right now, I can tell you, Sherry's working far in excess of that around election time.
Of course, yeah.
You know, to get done what she needs to get done, she has
yeah.
to put that much time in.
Yeah.
Other times of the year, it's less than that. When you average it all out, it's probably around 35 hours a week. So, but this allows her to just solely concentrate
Concentrate.
on the town clerk duties. And again, it allows Diane to help out Kathleen Donnelly, who's our tax collector, in that office with tax collection stuff.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, welcome back, Diane.
Yes.
Okay, welcome
Absolutely.
back. All right. Let's see what else we have on our list here. Oh, I know. I'm sure, well, you know what? I'm sure you'd love to talk about the CIP. What's at the top of the list for this
Well,
year's CIP?
The big thing at the top of the list is the new central fire station. Whether it's a brand new station completely
Yeah.
or renovations to the existing
Just
station.
kind of quickly for people who are
Yeah.
not familiar with the CIP, can you give them just a really brief?
Yeah, it's a capital improvement
Explanation of
plan.
how it
It's kind of a master plan document for all capital improvements.
You prioritize.
Right, that need to be done over the next 5 to 7 years. And there are, it goes through an extensive public hearing process through the planning board.
There's a lot of review.
There's a lot of review on it, and each thing is given a priority. And I think it's a priority 1 through priority 4.
That sounds right.
And there's things we've been ticking off on there over the last few years.
Yeah.
And so now the 2 higher priority items on there, or at least on the town side anyway, are the central fire station and the communications equipment upgrade.
It's either do the central fire station over or put it on the historical register.
Well, it's not quite that old, but
No,
it is
they're-
old. It was
yeah.
built in the 70s originally. And we've got a lot of new apparatus in that station. The fire department's growing. And so the space is becoming inadequate.
Yeah.
So we're looking at, again, can the current building be renovated? Can it be added on to? Or do we just need to start from zero and build a new station? And that's one of the things that we'll be discussing in this year's budget.
Sounds good. What's
Yeah.
priority 2?
What kind of things are priority 2 on the CIP?
Yeah.
I know there was some upgrades to some conservation properties on there. I believe a new SAU office, school administrative office, was on there as well.
They could also use.
Yeah, that's an older
Boy,
building too.
And so they are jam-packed
yeah,
in
they
there.
are
Yeah,
packed in
yeah,
there. That's
yeah.
for sure. So that's on the list. I know the auditorium is somewhere on the CIP. I don't know what the priority was that was given to it. So the CIP is online though. People can go to the planning department.
Go to the webpage.
Go to the webpage, go on the
Yeah.
planning department,
Yeah.
and the whole.
And it's a very easy to maneuver website.
Yep.
Very clear,
And
very
it's an easy to read document
Yeah,
too, and
yeah.
people can read all
Yeah.
about all the different priorities
Yeah.
that are on there.
Yeah, I wanted to make sure we brought that up because I think sometimes we get to the meeting and people don't have a good understanding of how much thought and work and review has gone into setting those priorities. I mean,
Right.
it's not like somebody all of a sudden just said, I think we'd like a new school district office.
Right.
No, they've needed it for many
Yeah.
years.
Right.
It was jam-packed 15 years ago. It was packed. So just so people know that there is a lot of thought being put into what goes on
Sure.
in the budget and
Absolutely.
on the vote for the
Yep.
voting in March.
March.
Yeah, okay. I get all confused with all the change in the meetings and everything now. Okay, how about an update on our other favorite topic?
Woodmont.
Yes.
So Woodmont Commons is they're close to going for formal official approval, final approval from the planning board. They had hoped to have that approval at the beginning of this month, November. It looks more likely now that they'll be going for it at the end of the month. It's a massive, it's probably the largest site plan we've ever had to deal with.
Absolutely.
And it's only phase 1 of the project.
yeah.
But typically,
How many acres are we dealing with in phase 1, do you know?
Ooh, Dottie, I want to say maybe around 200.
Okay, that's the number that popped into my
Yeah.
head, so we might be right.
But it's, you're talking 19 buildings in the first phase, a lot of roadways. Typically a site plan comes in and it's 1 building, maybe 2. So this is much, much larger than any typical site plan. So there's a lot of work involved with it. And we want to make sure that by the time it gets presented to the planning board, it's nearly complete.
Right.
There may be some
Yeah.
conditional approvals that still need to be had, but but they're still well on their way. And like I said, by the end of this month, they should have their conditional approval from the planning board.
Okay.
Whether or not they'll begin any construction during the winter months.
Maybe not this winter.
Yeah, it all depends on what the weather's like,
Yeah.
between now and all of December. So we'll see.
Yeah.
But things are moving along. The updates continue that people can read about them in the paper or attend or watch the planning board meetings. and they'll see what's happening there.
I did have a question from somebody from the public on that one too. They were particularly concerned about that pond that Gilchrist Road goes over.
Yep.
Right there, because right now with the drought and everything, it's practically gone.
Yeah.
There's hardly anything there at all. I think there might be a little bit of mud at the bottom. And any other, I know there's some other water on that that parcel, but I would expect, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, I would expect that those areas are being protected by the Conservation Commission
Right.
and probably also,
Right, they
in some
are.
cases, the state.
Right.
So they're
Yeah, they
being
will be.
looked at, they're being, yeah. They were concerned
Absolutely.
that the pond was not a natural occurring pond, that it was man-made. And I think I was right. I said my explanation was that once that happens and an ecosystem has developed there, it becomes a protected
You're
wetland.
good, Dottie.
Am I
You got
good?
it. It
Okay.
doesn't matter if it's man-made or natural. Once it, as you just very eloquently stated it, once it occurs, the state treats them all the same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought I was telling them correctly.
You
Okay.
were.
Good.
You could be an
okay.
environmental engineer,
So,
Dottie.
I don't think so. Me and engineers, we just don't even mix. They're like, linear. I'm not. Off on tangents all the time. Okay, so in good shape, people can keep an eye on that, see what's going on. Water use ordinance.
Yep.
Of course, with no water,
Well,
should be the no water
I
use
guess
ordinance.
the latest update is that we've had a lot of rains lately.
Yeah.
And the latest from the Department of Environmental Services, half the town now is no longer in a extreme drought
We're just in
anymore.
a drought?
Severe drought, it's called.
Okay.
So the northern half of the town is in severe drought. The bottom half is still in extreme drought by the Environmental
definitions.
Services map. So the good news is we're going in the right direction now. There's a long ways to go until we're out of the drought, but things are heading in the right direction right now, which is good news. We've had some good rains. We'll hopefully have some more over November and December. As much as I really can't stand snow, the more
We need
snow,
it.
the more snow, the
Yeah,
better
we've got
this year.
Yeah.
You know,
And
if
that's
people
what I'm
want
hearing
to-
too, that we're going to get.
I've heard that too. So if people are looking to water their lawns this spring and put in new lawns or whatever, a bad winter is good for them because then we can lift the water ban in
Right.
town and
Yeah,
allow people
yeah.
to once again water their
Right.
lawns.
I thought it was interesting too when I saw that they were banning commercial use of the water that we have. And I've often wondered about that because I used to see the trucks back up to like one of our ponds or something and just kind of suck all the water out and
Right.
run down to somebody's house
Yeah.
and dump it in their pool. Do they still do that? I mean,
Well,
how
we've
do
told
they-
them, no, there's an ordinance that we've proposed. It'll have a public hearing on Monday after or prior to this show airing. And it's specifically states they cannot do that. Otherwise, we're going to consider it to be theft of property, and they'll be cited for it
Yeah.
by the police department. So at this point in time, they are
Well,
not allowed to do it.
I always wondered if they had to pay for the water they were taking or anything.
No,
because
not
if they-
previously. They're not.
Yeah.
Now, one of the things we can look at going forward once we're out of the drought is do we want to have some kind of permitting process for trucks? Because up until now, we haven't had anything. So they could just,
Yeah.
as you said, back in, drain the water out, and off they go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I know, I don't know what anybody's used it this year, but when I was still on well water, we had a dug well.
Yeah.
So we would go dry quite
Yeah.
a bit. And I could call up and order water. We wouldn't drink it, but we could use it for everything
Sure.
else. And I always wondered where that was coming from too.
Yep.
So,
Yeah.
that doesn't seem like it should be a free thing. It's a business that they're in, and it's a resource that we need. So, and you're being squeaky down there. Why are you being squeaky? I know.
She's trying to
okay.
say something,
Yeah,
Dottie.
she's trying to say, "Pick me up, Mom."
Yeah.
Okay, so the next. Can you hear her? The next.
Wait, should we
step-
explain to the viewers, again, the ones who are just now tuning in, Dottie's dog, Peanut. Oh, here she is.
Oh, so I'm standing
See,
on
she
her.
just wanted some airtime, Dottie.
There she is. Okay. Are you comfortable?
Now she's very happy
Oh
now.
yeah, she's fine. That's all. All she wants to do is be held all the time.
By the way, our viewership just went way up. Now that we have a dog on screen.
I can bring it back down again. I can put her to sleep in about 2 seconds.
Oh, really?
I sing to her and she just goes. But I promise I won't do that to you. Be a good girl, okay? Okay. All right. So, the next thing I have on my list here is the term limits. I saw that came up at one of the meetings. We had a vote on
Right.
it at the last annual meeting, I
Yep.
believe. And I had some members of the public ask me what that was all about
Yep.
and what happens next.
So we
And
did.
thank you, by the way, for talking to me.
There was an advisory vote on this on
Yes,
the March
advisory
ballot.
only, not
Right.
binding.
So it wasn't binding. So now it really is. It's up to the town council to decide what do they want to do with it.
Okay.
They can choose to do nothing and say we're going to keep things happening the way they are. They can enact a new ordinance to put restrictions, limitations on non-land use boards to have term limits. It's something that they'll probably debate amongst themselves and come to a conclusion one way or the other.
Is there anything that the public would do moving forward if they really wanted this to happen?
Well, they could show up to any town council meeting, come in
Okay.
and during public comment and make their opinions known
Okay.
during the public comment section. It's a catch-22, Dottie, because on one hand, term limits force to have new people come on and fill those roles on those particular boards that
Yeah.
you have them. On the other hand, it's been
Hard to get
hard
people.
finding volunteers to serve on these boards.
Yeah.
And so when you get a volunteer who's willing to do it, and do it for as long as you need them to do it, that can be a good thing too, because otherwise you don't want to void and have nobody.
Yeah, and I totally understand that. I really do. There is the other side of that, though, that if that position is always filled,
Yep.
why would anybody step up?
Right.
So that's kind of the
Yep.
other part of that catch-22.
Sure.
It would be great to see people step up and volunteer for more of these things so
Yeah.
that there would be more new blood going through. You've got to have some of the people that know the history
Right.
and know the process and all that.
Right.
But having some new blood, I found with committees, is always a good idea.
Yep.
They're always going to think of something you didn't think of or
Yep.
think about it in a different way than you did. So.
Absolutely.
Okay, so stay, if that's something that you're concerned about,
Yep.
stay
Absolutely.
in touch.
Voice,
Go
voice
on,
your
you know,
opinion to the town
yeah,
council. Yeah.
Go on to that website again, see when the meetings are, and public comment is open for any comment.
That's right. And it's
It's-
every meeting too.
Yep, at every single meeting.
Yep.
Yep, and it's at the beginning of the meeting.
It is. Yep.
Yeah, there are communities where they have it at the end of the meeting.
Conveniently.
Yeah, I think they figure people won't stay awake. Excuse me, Peanut, I don't mean to disturb you. Okay, so Solar Up New Hampshire, that
Yes.
raised a couple of eyebrows when people got mailers, which I didn't get, by the way, but when people got the mailers on the Solar Up
Yep.
New Hampshire. Can
So-
you explain a little bit about what's going on
Happy
with
to
that?
explain, Dottie, to set the record straight.
That's what we like to
Absolutely.
do here.
Solar Up New Hampshire, they're an organization working in cooperation with the Southern New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission that are working with residential homeowners to take advantage of the solar credits that are currently available, that are not going to be available forever. In fact, I think at the end of this year, they run out.
Yeah, I think that might be it.
So if you're thinking
Yeah.
of having solar put on your roof,
Get started.
this is the time to do it because you can take advantage of tax credits that are available.
Yeah. Now, is Solar Up New Hampshire a company that would come in and put in your solar?
No, they
That's
work.
what I wanted to make
yeah,
sure we got
they're
across.
not. I believe they're a nonprofit, but they work with the company who would come in and
Okay.
put the solar on. So they approached us, as they've done to many communities
Right.
in the state, including Derry, and said, "We'd like to offer this program to the residents in town as well. So, you know, if anyone wants to take advantage of it, they can. There was no downside at all for any of the residents or the town
Right.
to have them come in and do this. And so as part of it, they said, you know, if you'd be willing, and by the way, they came and announced all this. Is she out?
She might be going if
And you
she's
didn't
not
even
already.
sing to
I
her.
didn't
Maybe it's
sing.
my voice, Dottie.
Maybe that's it.
Or-
So melodious.
Or maybe
And
hearing all the...
we know you can sing.
Yeah, I was thinking more though, maybe all the talk about solar programs,
The border.
it's not as riveting. Maybe our viewership is going down now. I don't know where I was on this. So Solar Up had come before the town council months ago, talked about it in public forum, talked about what it is they wanted to do, and one of the things they wanted to do was they said if the town manager would, you know, put his name to a letter informing residents about it, we'll send the letter out, we'll pay for the letter.
Yeah.
Nothing bothers me more than when people put facts out in a public forum without actually checking and verifying whether or
I
not
know
those
that,
things are true.
Yeah, it's a phone call.
That's all it takes.
All they had
A
to
phone call or
do.
email.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
ask me, are taxpayer dollars being spent on
Yeah.
this? No.
No.
Rather than writing a letter to a newspaper saying, I can't believe all the tax dollars being spent on this. The banner outside the fire station didn't pay for that.
Right.
The one at the Common didn't pay. We've spent zero taxpayer dollars. This is just for our benefit for the residents to know that
residents,
this
yeah.
program is out there.
Yeah.
So, by the way, I saw someone write and said, we wish that instead there were taxpayer dollars sent on discounts at Mr. Steer. If Mr. Steer wants
be
to pay
willing to do
for
that?
a letter and give discount on his meats, have at it, you know. I don't think Chris is going to do that anytime
Probably
soon.
not, yeah.
Probably not. He does good enough business without having to discount all of his meats. But anyway,
But that was an interesting idea.
yeah. So yeah. I mean, so that's the long and the short of it.
yeah.
It's a program. It's
Yeah.
not going to be around for
Right.
long.
I actually had someone come over, a young man who went to school here, and he's now working for a solar company. So he was looking for customers, and I said, I'm really interested. I said, but I don't think I can do it. If you go on, what's that, Google Earth? If you go on Google Earth and look for my house, you can't really find it because it's covered with trees. Okay. I don't like to cut down trees. I have more leaves than anybody in town on my lawn too. But anyway, he came over and he checked out the house because he said, you know, even if you have trees, sometimes it's something we can do. He checked out my house and said, we can do this. You have to cut down, but you would have to cut down that tree.
Yeah.
And that tree happens to be a tree I planted when my daughter was little.
Yeah.
So it's the same age as her.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, that's my daughter's tree. That one's
Yeah.
not going. But, you know, there are, even though we do have a lot of trees around us, there's
Yeah.
a lot they can do.
Yeah.
So,
No, there
you know,
is.
with that program and those credits that are available and everything, this is the time to look
Yeah.
into it.
Right.
So,
Yep.
and I'm not mentioning companies, I'm not selling you anything, just it's a good idea
Right.
to save yourself some money if you
to
want
look
to do
in,
this.
and
Yeah.
to look into it if
And it costs
again, there's
nothing
no obligation.
to look in,
No,
right?
there isn't.
Nothing to look into it.
Yeah.
Okay, so got that resolved.
Yes.
So next time, just call Kevin if you want to
That's
know.
it.
And
That's all you have to do. Easily
All right.
accessible.
You've got your big budget presentation coming up
Yes, Saturday. Well,
this
tomorrow.
Saturday, tomorrow,
So
tomorrow.
when this airs, it'll have
It'll have been
the
done.
previous Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And how do you think that's going to turn out so we can tell people what's going to
Well, you know, this is the kickoff to the budget season, you know, where we put everything on the table, talk about the increase in the operating budget, the different warrant articles that are going to be presented. There's a lot in this year's budget.
As a former department head,
Yep.
the thing I miss the least is the budget season.
Yeah.
Not fun.
Yeah.
Lot of work.
Yeah, you know, in some ways, Dottie, the whole default budget process has taken a lot of the work out of it.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's just, you know, your contractual increases minus, you know, one-time expenditures from the year before, and that's your budget you're going
Everything got easier after I left.
with. I don't know about that. Maybe from the outside it looks that way. But I mean, it's really a very streamlined process now. I think the larger discussions will be around the warrant articles.
Okay.
There's a couple of public works positions being proposed. There's a couple of police department positions, patrolmen being proposed.
Yeah.
There's a warrant article to extend the sidewalk from where it ends at Moose Hill School down to Wilshire Drive.
Okay.
And then there's an air and water quality baseline study update that's on there. So there's a number of items being proposed in this particular budget. So, you know, we'll see what happens. There'll be public hearings on it. Man, as if many people got as interested in the budget as they did about Halloween.
I know.
That'd be so awesome.
I know.
You know, I mean, I understand Halloween, a lot of people, it's touchy, but if I could get half the amount of people at a public hearing on the budget, you know.
And I think people sort of tend to not think about that connection between their tax bill and the warrant articles.
Yeah.
You know, and they need to make that connection.
Right.
It doesn't do a lot of good to complain in June that you don't like your tax bill,
Right.
because if you weren't following the process and being involved in it, then
Right.
there's not much to say by then. But it's, as far as the tax bill is concerned, though, do we have our tax rate?
We do. So the taxes, the town taxes went down for the third year in a row.
Yep.
Went down another 17 cents. I think we're down to $4.77.
And we have not been making major cuts in staff or anything like that.
Not at
We've
all.
been,
Not at all. The
you know,
budget's
we've been
been
making
increasing.
progress.
Yeah, the budget's been increasing about 2% every year.
Yeah.
You know, we've built an addition to the senior center. We've built a new town
which
garage.
is awesome, by the way.
It is.
At least from the outside. I haven't
It's
seen the inside
fantastic.
yet. I
You know,
got to
it's
get in
really
there.
nice. So we've added buildings, we've added staff, we've gotten a lot done, and we've cut taxes
Each year.
3 years in a row. Now, the overall tax rate this year did go up 48 cents. There was a 60-cent increase on the school side. There was a 17-cent decrease on the town side. And then the county tax rate went up a little, and the statewide education tax went up a little. So you net all those things together, and it comes out to a 48-cent increase
Overall, okay.
in people's tax bills. Yep, 48
Okay.
cents per thousand.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Well, kudos for bringing it down each year on the town side. I know it's hard.
Well, you know, it's I go back to what I've said before, which is, you know, as long as you're, you know, on the good side, our valuation has gone way up because of all of the new development,
Right.
Especially out at Pettingill Road.
Yeah.
That's helped a lot.
Yeah.
So we have an increase in valuation. We've had an increase in outside revenues away from property taxes. So those things help offset property taxes.
Yeah.
And as long as those things or as long as your spending is not growing at
Exceeding
a
your-
rate
yeah.
faster than your valuation or outside revenues,
Yeah.
you're going to do okay.
Yeah.
You know, your rate's going
Yeah.
to stay pretty
And that's actually
pretty
what
steady.
people want to see if they're coming into town with their businesses, is they want to see something that's
Sure.
really steady.
Right.
They don't necessarily want to come in and see something that and
No,
dropped way
that's the
down.
worst thing. They have the roller coaster.
Yeah, they want something that's
Yep.
fairly level.
Yep.
Makes it much more attractive for us to get people in here.
Yeah.
So,
It does.
okay. And the big thing, which is also going to be probably over by the time we air this program, but I know.
Dottie, I hope
just-
if this program airs and the election's still not over, that's a bad sign.
I know,
because the
that's
election's
scary.
Tuesday and this program probably airs Wednesday or Thursday.
yeah, yeah.
But it could be the case, you know.
Recounts. No, okay, no, it's going to be,
The big thing with the election is, you know, hopefully, you know, a lot of work has gone into trying to make election day traffic great again, Dottie. Okay.
I got
Do you like that?
I got that, yes.
You know, it's
Make Londonderry great
the last few years for the election day traffic. There's been a lot of backups, and I mean, look, you're trying to filter 15,000 people in and out of one place for an entire day.
Yeah.
That's a lot of cars. So we've come up with a plan for this election that we think hopefully will help really mitigate a lot of the traffic problems. You know, there's 2 exits to the north and the south. If you go out the north exit, you're only going north. If you go out the south one, you're only going south. So if you mistakenly go
Plan
out the wrong
accordingly.
one, you're gonna have to
Make the loop.
go around.
Yeah.
But we felt that was the best way to mitigate. We're also gonna have shuttle buses going.
From
We'll be parking, once the main lot is full, once that all fills up, we're gonna be sending cars around to around the high school to the plateau lot,
okay.
where they'll be picked up by a shuttle and then shuttled back to the polling area.
Okay.
Again, it's just another way to keep the traffic going and flowing.
One of the questions that comes up is the handicap parking.
Yes.
Is that still going to be in front of
We've
right in
fixed
front of
that
the gym?
too.
Or,
Yeah,
okay.
it's going to be right in front of the gym, but
Okay.
it's going to be well labeled, and we're going to be very strict about having only handicap parking
Okay.
there. So, you know,
So show
as I
your
said,
card
it's-
when you're coming in, and that's what they'll send
absolutely
you.
having the card
Okay.
is, yeah, make sure you have that out. You know, a lot of people, the police department, the moderator, the town clerk, myself, you know, a lot of folks have worked on this to try to make it go as smooth as possible. So hopefully by the time this airs,
It'll all be over.
it'll be over and it will have gone smooth. Otherwise, we'll be back here in a month talking about what changes need to be made.
Yep.
So
Is that better? No, that's not what you wanted. Okay. Well, you have to.
I think
talk
we
to
should
me a
devote
little.
the rest of the show to Peanut.
To Peanut. I
Yes.
think I'm stepping on her leash, and that's the problem. We're getting a little stressed here, aren't we? How's that? Oh, what a relief. There we go. Okay, that's better. Yeah, I was stepping on it. I had it wrapped around my shoe, I think. So, okay, well, anything else that you would like to cover?
I don't think so, Dottie.
No,
I
I
think
think
we've
we did
covered a
it
lot of
all.
issues again.
Okay.
Yeah.
We do get through a lot in like less than an hour,
Yeah,
right?
we
Yeah,
do.
less than an
Yeah.
hour. So I hope that everybody does go out and vote. Can't stay home.
Nope.
Stay home, can't
If
complain.
you don't vote, you can't complain. That's
Yep.
right.
So I'm hoping everybody does that. And keep your eye on these things that are going on this time of year with the meetings so that you can go and have your
Absolutely.
say. There will be public hearings on the budget and on the warrant
least 2
articles
public
and
hearings,
things like that.
deliberative
so you,
session.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. And you have to go. I mean, people are
Maybe,
thinking
Dottie,
that only
I have
the
an idea.
polls.
Maybe
What's
if
that?
maybe if we put on the warrant that there'll be a discussion about when Halloween will be next year.
Maybe they'll
that's
all
a way to draw
come.
people out to talk
Not a
about
bad
it.
idea,
We'll have to
Kevin.
look into that.
Not a bad idea. Maybe a citizen's petition. But yeah, it is so hard to see people. And the same thing when we get to the meetings and we spend so much time on some warrant articles. And then we get to the budget and it's like, boom, gone.
Right.
What happened? We,
Yep. I know.
So, but it's, you're doing a good job, Kevin. I have to say that.
Well, just trying my best. I
keep
got a
it-
good
keeping
team of
that-
people around me, and
Yep, keeping that, well, that's also to your credit too. Keeping that tax rate level and getting the businesses in here to help us with our tax dollars to go further. We spend less. I like that.
Yep.
So,
it's all good.
And I guess we will see you soon.
Yes.
Well, we're not doing any shows in December.
Okay.
So if there's something going on and it's really important, then I'll come in. But
All right,
for the
I hope
most part,
so.
I'm on vacation in September.
Okay.
Yeah,
You
they-
mean December?
December. Yeah, what did I say?
September.
No,
That's
December.
okay.
December. Yep. I need a vacation.
Good for you.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you,
I
Dottie.
appreciate it.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks all of you for watching, and keep talking to me. Let me know what you're concerned about. Let me know what you're thinking about, and we'll make sure that it gets on the show and we'll talk about it. But remember, if you don't like something, before you start complaining, let's check with Kevin and see if you're right about it, if you've interpreted it correctly. Okay?
Sounds good.
All right. Thank you. And contact information is at the end of the show. Thank you very much.
All right.
Bye, Kevin.
Thanks,
Bye.
Dottie.
Can you say